We'll also look at an issue called gender equity. Is it worthy of all the fuss? And we'll scout the Cowboys, Oklahoma State that is. All that and more coming up next. Michigan Replay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. 17-17, Michigan and Notre Dame, and Sunday morning, and Gary Moeller, you're still mad about that.
Well, there's no question, Jim. Very frankly, I just felt we could go into South Bend. We could win this game. We had a couple things going against us, but I still felt good about our football team, and in some ways still do, but very disappointed because of that loss.
You know, there are strange things that happen in South Bend, and it happened right off the bat in this one. The coin toss, they win the toss, defer, and yet they get the ball at the start of the game and the ball at the second half. What happened?
Well, I think as a head coach, you got to take the responsibility of that. I instructed the captains. I was heavy on which way we wanted to kick and maybe overemphasized that point. But I did mention if they defer, we obviously want the football, but I don't know. So you got to accept that as the responsibility of the head coach, and you got to teach it better.
Early going, they worked the passing game pretty good. You took Bettis pretty good out of the game.
They hurt us with some option passing, and then here Rick Meyer shows his scrambling ability, which they have, and they pin our one receiver in right there, our defensive back, and get outside. But he's a good quarterback. But I felt, Jim, other than the tackling, which I think would have been better. Here's a great example. Look at all these missed tackles. And this is a great run by Brooks, and Coleman Wallace come over and basically kind of knocked the wind out of, or semi-knocked Brooks out on that particular play. But we didn't tackle well in the first half. I knew we'd do it better in the second half because we'd have some experience. Here Elvis is rolling. He does a good job here, and threw the ball other than a couple occasions on key interceptions that hurt us. Got the ball to our receivers.
At this point, you're trailing 7-0, and you start to get the running game going, and that was a problem. It never really came all the way around.
Your timing's off a little bit. Your kids don't get a chance to see themselves doing the blocking in a game, and it was just not what we wanted. And here Elvis just threw behind a little bit. We should have broke that up. I guess it was intercepted. The ball come out on the ground, but we should have broken that up as well, and we should have got the ball out front. There's another couple missed tackles, and Becking goes up the middle. They alternated their tailbacks a little bit, and I think did a good job with that.
But the defense keeps coming up with big plays.
We came up with 3 big fumbles against them. Martin Davis right there. Matt Dyson was in good shape on the reverse. Had they have made the handoff, I think we'd have thrown him for negative yardage. Then we come back, and we rolled the ball here a little bit. We moved it at times very well. Elvis hitting Tony McGee here, but we should have put it in the end zone more, and we had the opportunities.
Elvis always had great protection. That's one good thing about this game.
Right, I think we did a better job protecting him. Derek makes a great catch here. The other thing is, Jim, is that they just sit there and waited for the draws, and screens didn't work very well because they had great intention of stopping those. Tyrone Wheatley makes a great catch, shows his strength and speed here, picks up a great block by Derek Alexander, and goes in the end zone to tie it right before half.
And that was it, 7-7 at halftime. And you said that you knew you would get better in the second half, whereas you didn't think Notre Dame would improve that much.
Right. Well, I said it this way, Jim. I know we would improve more than Notre Dame would because this was kind of our opening half. And that's what I told the kids at halftime. It's simply one thing. It's the old thing of football, blocking and tackling, that we have to do better. And we came out there and did those a little better and held them scoreless clear up until the fourth quarter and went ahead 17-7. And that's what's really disheartening about this tie.
Yeah, we'll be back, and we'll talk about the second half in a minute. But first, let's hear from one of the defensive standouts up front for the Wolverines after the Notre Dame tie.
First half, we made a lot of first-game mistakes, missing a lot of tackles. I know personally the up front guys, the first half, we made a lot of mistakes that we shouldn't have made. But, we came out 7-7, so, it's just kind of one of those disappointing things.
Good. The game was kind of disappointing, but, I felt really good playing. I know that the coaches still have confidence to throw me the ball, and, missing that first one and coming right back with another long pass, shows that they still have confidence in me.
Certainly Derek Alexander had a nice day against Notre Dame, but it wasn't nice enough. And before we went to the break, you said this Notre Dame loss Does it feel like a loss to you?
Yeah, in many respects, because you know you work so hard and you put so much into this, and you have to say it's better than losing a game, Jim. There's no question about that. But I just feel so sad in many respects for the kids because how hard they worked and how we, I think, had them believing. But we're going to be a good football team.
Second half, tied up 7-7. 3rd and 7.
Yeah,
they
Meyer
make a big play.
Gets the ball to Dawson on a good slant pass, and some of that was in coverage and things, but in many respects, we did a good job. Now, here we block a field goal. Nate Holdren tipping the ball, and Corwin Brown knocking it down, as you'll see here.
Yeah, Holdren got it with his right hand, and then it went into the belly of Corwin Brown. You dodge a bullet there, and then you really start to take control.
Right. We hit Bernie Leggett, and he runs well up the middle. You know, you'd like to get him the ball a couple more times than what we did, and we will do that. Then Jesse comes back with a good run. So, you know, we're moving the ball the way we should, and we want to get down there, obviously, and come away with some points. Here on 4th and 3, we go to Bernie Leggett in the flat and pick up 15, 20 yards.
You're a riverboat gambler a little bit Saturday.
Right. We tried that in the first half, and it didn't work out. And here was a good moment for Pete Elzalovic, who was our field goal kicker, his first attempt in South Bend. That was a great kick.
Well, that's going to help some confidence in his part.
All right. There's no question about that. Here Bettis goes up the middle, and we hit him, and then Corwin Brown comes in and strips the ball from him, and it goes in the arms of Steve Morrison and gives us good field position.
Now you got the ball back, and you really start to work again, the pass again.
Right. Here we hit Waller Smith on an excellent run after he catches the ball, dodging people. Waller's a strong kid and likes to run with that football, and he did that at McKenzie High School as a high school player.
You open the 4th quarter and go for it all.
Right. Derek runs a good route here, and Elvis puts the ball out there where it's really easy for him to catch and makes great play there because we wanted to, again, mix it up, and those are the things we have to do.
And you have a 10-point lead at that point, and then Notre Dame comes back, you let them right back in.
Right. Here's a play that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't let that ball outside the defense. The guy runs around there for about 18, 20 yards or so. Bettis, who's a good back, but he shouldn't have that kind of opening. Then Rick Meyer comes back on a 4th and 10 and picks up 11 yards, which is a key first down for them to keep a drive going, obviously. Then they come back under pressure on what I thought was a very fine play, particularly for a young freshman, but it's a good play here. Strips the guy after the ball hits his chest, and they get past interference, put the ball on the 3.
And then Bettis goes in, and that makes it a 17-14 game and a very, very difficult call by an official. Then you come back, and this is the last thing you want to see.
Right. We had a couple plays here. It didn't work, and a linebacker steps in front of Walter Smith there and picks off a pass. Gives them excellent field position. However, I will say our defense came up with a big stop. Here's Matt Dyson putting some pressure on Rick Meyer, getting a little pass rush here, and he really throws the ball away. But there's a receiver in the area, so there's no penalty.
That is a big, big play because they are forced now to kick the field goal. They make it by Hentrick. It makes it a 17-17 game. But you come back with the opportunity to win it, and you do just what you want to do.
Jim, exactly what we wanted to do. Control the ball. Here Elvis is on a bootleg type of pass, runs for a first down, crucial first down there on about 3rd and 3. And then we come back, and we're moving the ball quite well. Here we hit Derek Alexander on a good comeback. He makes a good move.
Big 3rd down pass, big time play.
I think Elvis now he's going to throw a ridiculous pass here in a minute, but I think for the most part he had a good game. And Wheatley finally gets untracked here, runs a good playoff tackle, and kind of pulled the growing area there, Jim. Maybe sore for a few days.
Then here's the pass you don't like to see.
The back should have been picked up on that. The blitzer from the corner, our back should have picked him up, and then we'd have had an easier time throwing that ball. But it was one of those tough deals.
And again, you talk about that at end 17-17. You say the back should have picked up. That's a first game mistake. Notre Dame had a game, you didn't. How much did that come into play? Don't use it as an excuse.
No, I'm not going to use it as an excuse, but it's just it's a fact. And more than that, it's the blocking, the togetherness that you miss, and the tackling on defense. More than anything else out there is those two things. Even like Derek Alexander, we had him wide open once, and we dropped a big bomb possibly for a touchdown. So we got a ways to go. We're not a good football team yet, but quite honestly, we're not a bad one either.
Look
that Boyle.
up a big play other than that one option run for 20-some yards. And that was a lot of missed tackles and a good run by Brooks. But I really believe that that'll come. And I think our secondary, Jim, a key part that I was worried about, played better. There were some good hits in there by Alfie Birch, Coleman Wallace, Brown. Those kids did some tackling.
Al, it's history now. Notre Dame and Michigan 17-17. Don't go away. We'll be back with some issues and answers about collegiate football. Before that, though, we hear from another one of Saturday's heroes in Notre Dame.
You got to give them credit, but that's a team we should have moved around out there. You know, I mean, that was our game plan, and we just didn't execute early on. We moved down the field about 4 times to the 30-yard line, you know, and couldn't do anything with it. So came back to haunt us in the end.
Things going against us, but I still felt good about our football team, and in some ways still do, but very disappointed because of that loss.
You know, there are strange things that happen in South Bend, and it happened right off the bat in this one. The coin toss, they win the toss, defer, and yet they get the ball at the start of the game and the ball at the second half. What happened?
Well, I think as a head coach, you got to take the responsibility of that. I instructed the captains. I was heavy on which way we wanted to kick and maybe overemphasized that point. But I did mention if they defer, we obviously want the football, but I don't know. So
we'll also look at an issue called gender equity. Is it worthy of all the fuss? And we'll scout the Cowboys, Oklahoma State, that is. All that and more coming up next. Michigan replay.
You gotta accept that as the responsibility of the head coach, and you got to teach it better.
Early going, they worked the passing game pretty good. You took Bettis pretty good out of the game.
They hurt us with some option passing, and then here Rick Meyer shows his scrambling ability, which they have, and they pin our one receiver in right there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. 17-17, Michigan and Notre Dame, and Sunday morning, and Gary Moeller, you're still mad about that.
Well, there's no question, Jim. Very frankly, I just felt we could go into South Bend. We could win this game. We had a couple